Hi everyone. So, who had a better arc? Jacen Solo, known as Darth Caedus, or Kylo Ren, known as Ben Solo? I wonder. Hello, this is OG Star Wars, your Legends girl, trying to make it in this discanon world, and today we are going to cover the CBR.com's article about Jacen Solo versus Kylo Ren, who had a better arc. And many of you who knows about Legends and have read the stories and watched the Solo twins grow up, you may have an opinion already about this. Those of you who are fairly new to Star Wars and never read the EU, you may have your own opinion as well. This article, again, is from CBR.com, and it's by Evangelina Galanis, who knows, and basically this is her take on the arc between Jacen Solo and Kylo Ren. And as you know it, and this is I'm representing my opinion, but maybe many of you guys may agree with me that Jacen Solo versus Kylo Ren, or Ben Solo's arc basically mirrors, in a sense, from Jacen Solo. So they took the aspect of Jacen Solo and like threaded in to Kylo Ren's or Ben Solo's, but I don't think was very successful with emulating or even giving us a good plot and a good arc with this new character. My thing is with this is that if they're gonna go ahead and give us a Legends character, or at least their arc, and have this person shadow what was originally done in Star Wars original EU, they should have just kept the whole damn thing and given us Jacen Solo, given us this Legacy of the Force series, and seeing the Sword of Jedi go head to head with her brother. That would have been more compelling. And also too, want Luke to fail, this would have been a great arc too, because we have a conflicted Luke after he had lost his wife, and which gives us him not going after Jacen because of the fact that he is tainted, because he went after Lumaya and killed her. And so we see this conflict here, yet he doesn't run away and become a hermit or anything else. So let's go ahead and read this. I can go further and further onto this and, you know, really compare and contrast between even Legacy of the Force and the sequel trilogy, and really tear it apart in that aspect. But let's go ahead and see what Evangela, I doesn't say Evangelina, but Evangela says about this. So I'm going to go ahead and read this to you. I have it in front of me on my laptop right here, and I will display on the side here as well so you could follow along. Okay, so Star Wars, Jacen Solo versus Kylo Ren, who had a better arc? Let's see what she has to say about this, okay? Before Disney purchased Lucasfilm in 2012 and subsequently streamlined Star Wars continuity, there was an expanded universe. It was a very compelling, beautifully coherent written stories that basically ran off the foundation of the 6 original movies. The umbrella term for any official licensed material outside the films, including novels, television series, video games, and comics books. Okay, so we already know the structure of the expanding universe and what it meant, and I just said it. It was the foundation was the movies. There we go. All right, so they were, which basically she gives us a history that they were rebranded in 2014 and coined Legends, and then elements and characters were taken from there. And so we see Jacen Solo's character arc element taken from there and given to Ben Solo. And even the name itself, Ben Solo, and Leia naming her child in the Disney Star Wars, Ben, it does not make sense as well, because she never had any true direct contact with Obi-Wan Kenobi. Her brother Luke Skywalker, on the other hand, has, because Obi-Wan was given the task to take Luke to Tatooine to be raised by his aunt and uncle and to protect him and train him later on. And if you read the expanded universe, you know that Ben was there for Luke off and on throughout his whole life, and Owen Lars, you know, really didn't care for him because he didn't want Luke to take the same path his father had. So, but we won't go further into that. Let's get back to the article. It's no surprise that two share many similar story beats. Well, we already covered that. But now Kylo Ren's story is over. Yeah. And we get Ben Solo, whose story is over in Legacy of the Force, but it's more compelling because of the reason why he turned to the dark side and why he became Darth Caedus. When we see Kylo Ren's, there's no compelling reason. He didn't just basically turn, as far as we know, he didn't turn to the dark side thinking that, you know, if he does this, it's going to be good for the galaxy and he's going to keep order. So this is, in short, you know, Jacen Solo's story arc, in short. All right. Ben Solo was born roughly, you know, a year after Battle of Endor. He grew up with feelings of resentment towards his parents. And we kind of see this with the twins and Anakin because they were so busy. However, the Han and Leia still were a pivotal part of their life, and the children still adored them. They understood, in a sense, I think the most conflicted one, and we do see Jaina's arc too as well, where she's kind of conflicted about her mom, is because her mom was such a pivotal leader, a legend leader with both the Jedi, her brother, and the galaxy. But they didn't turn against their parents. That's the thing. And later, Jacen only turns against him because of his path of the dark side. All right, so let's go back. Okay, so his parents inherited the force sensitivity of the Skywalkers. Yeah, of course. You know, it's from the chosen one. You know, so we have that with the twins and even Anakin Solo. He trained with his uncle Luke and Jacen Solo too. Luke was his master. And his new class of Jedi. And Luke had his new Jedi order, and yet, well, we'll go on. We'll get to that point. And about the age 23, Ben succumbed to the dark side. Although Marvel's The Rise of Kylo Ren, sorry, comic is still being revealing information about the part of Ben's past, we still have some information about him before becoming Kylo Ren. In the canonical 2016 novel Bloodline, set about 6 years before the events of The Force Awakens, Leia's secret that she is a daughter of Darth Vader is revealed. Immediately, she worries about Ben's reaction. All right, so that is some of it. And when we see Leia's arc in the original EU, she is basically too conflicted because of her heritage and her lineage, you know, so she still is trying to make peace with being a Skywalker and with Anakin as her father, as Vader as well. And so when we see in Tatooine Ghosts, she goes on a journey that basically the Force sends her on. That's how I see it. So she goes on the Skywalker path, as her brother told her in the novelization, and she gets a journal of her grandmother's that's found on the Lars Lars farm, and she gets to learn more about her father and how he was so kind-hearted and a hero for his age at the time. And she gets to meet individuals who were very close with Anakin Skywalker at that age, and their stories sharing with her and helping her understand. And then we get to see her make that journey all the way to the Tusken Raiders camp where Anakin slaughters the tribe there, and she sees these Force visions, and she gets led on. Also gets to see and feel Obi-Wan Kenobi's pain, because she visits his place. And it's so pivotal, and she also gets to see and feel where Shmi was tortured. So it was very, very pivotal. And then from there, and she didn't want children as well because she's afraid they were going to turn to the dark side. And Han wants children. And then after she makes this peace with herself and realize that, you know, that she doesn't have to worry about having kids, and that she doesn't have to be ashamed about being a Skywalker, she decides to have children. And Han makes a pivotal, not pivotal, but makes a great point to her when she's speaking to him in the novelization about her father becoming Darth Vader. And he was telling her, and this is just a paraphrase here, that if Anakin didn't turn to the dark side, how could he have been able to get that close to Palpatine to fulfill his prophecy? So that's something to think about. So let's get back to this article. All right. So it's likely that a big part of Ben's story involves an identity crisis over that revelation. The kids, when they were raised, they learned about who their grandfather was, both as Anakin and as Vader, and yet there was no conflict. All right, let's go on. Coupled with the impact of his repeated temptation by Snoke, and in Bloodline, Snoke has been pursuing Leia for Ben since she was pregnant. So I don't know how many people realize that, and now that we got Rise of Skywalker, we know that it was really Palpatine. Yeah, okay. So why hasn't Luke felt that and went after him during that time? Don't know. All right. It's possible Vader's helmet has a similar effect on Ben that Anakin's lightsaber has had on Luke, calling out to him, hence his apparent worship. Okay, so Luke did not worship his father's lightsaber. In the original trilogy, there was really no evidence of that whatsoever, other than Ben Kenobi telling Luke that it's just an elegant weapon and that this is what his father's weapon. There was no worship of it whatsoever. So I don't know where she gets this from. I don't know what she watched. All right, let's go on. Supplemental materials provide a brief look into Ben's childhood. Let's get back to that now. All right, so this is supplemental, not expanded. So this is explaining something that they should have explained in the movies, well in the trilogy, letting us know, okay, we could have gotten the very first story in the trilogy about Ben's turn. And then introducing, you know, Rey possibly, and keeping the 3 original heroes intact. But we didn't. We got a copy of A New Hope. And so now we are watching Disney Star Wars using supplementary material to explain all this. And when I got into the expanded universe during George Lucas era, it wasn't because I needed to. It was because I wanted to. I didn't need to learn any more about the movies because they were well done. Their story was well done. I understood it. I got into the expanded universe because I wanted to learn more about Luke Skywalker's adventures and how he developed after the Return of the Jedi, not to like make sense of the movies. All right, so let's get back. From what we can tell, he was a happy child who wanted to be a pilot like his father, although he struggled with maintaining the darkness within him, which manifests as a resentment of his family. So we're going into modern times where it's like, okay, I don't get my way, so I'm going to act out. All right. Snoke's manipulation seemed to revolve around the promise of power, acceptance, and the ability for Ben to choose his own path rather than overshadow his famous family. All right. Once Ben switched to darkness, he turned on his classmates, becoming Kylo Ren and destroying everything Luke built. So we'll get so Luke Skywalker is supposed to be in, we see it in the original EU and George Lucas era that he became what his father was supposed to be. And he probably was as powerful or more powerful than his father. We will never know because, you know, we didn't see Anakin past his prime and develop further along the line because he turned to Vader. So I have a problem with this, because if he can overpower Luke in the Disney Star Wars and destroy the temple, but yet get beat by Rey, this is bullshit storytelling, because we have Luke Skywalker, supposed to be the Grand Master, supposed to be the most powerful Jedi, yet we have this. And he is the closest one related to Anakin Skywalker. He is Anakin Skywalker's son. Kylo, or Ben Solo, is just the grandchild, and he is in training. So this does not make sense. This is just to tear down the original character of Luke. After the destruction of Luke's Jedi Academy, Kylo Ren joined the First Order. He's characterized by his hunger for power. Again, you know, dark side. That's a dark side thing. And motivated his hate and anger by his hate and anger. He hunts for Luke, who had gone into hiding, but despite finally being able to choose his own path, he doesn't feel fulfilled. You know, any Darksider is not going to fully feel fulfilled until they have everything under the control, but yet they're always going to want more and more and more. That's really explained in Star Wars. And but the thing with Luke cowering like that, going into exile, you know, again, does not make sense at all. I'm not going to retread on that old stuff here. It just is not the character of Luke Skywalker. And so we'll go further into this article here. By the time of the Force Awakens, Kylo Ren is roughly 30 years old, well into his ways as a pseudo Sith apprentice. Okay, so she uses Sith. Now, what is it, Disney? Was he becoming a Sith or just a dark side user? That's something that's been debated. And now that we have Palpatine that came back, then probably, yes, he was becoming a Sith, because Palpatine is a Sith. So maybe there's the answer right there, people, because Palpatine was reintroduced and everything was planned by Palpatine, then he's a Sith. And then what about Snoke then? He was just a creation of Palpatine, so was he a Sith as well? Come on, Disney, get your story straight, okay? Han Solo, again, he chooses to fully embrace the dark side and murder his father. So basically, yeah, so he, not that destroying the temple and Luke's Jedi Order made him into a Sith. Not that that did, you know, like his grandfather taking down the temple to fulfill his destiny as, well, I wouldn't say destiny, but fulfill his path as a Sith. Not, you know, but then we have Kylo kind of doing the same thing, but that didn't push him to the dark side to become a Sith. It had to be his killing of his father. All right. So something to think about, you know. Like Ben, Jacen was born after the Battle of Endor. Okay, so Jacen and his twin were born 4 years. They were born 9 ABY. Oh yeah, so 5 years after the Battle of Endor. Jacen, or Ben, was born a year after. So we have Leia and Han going through courtship for 5 years before, or not even 5 years, but little less than that, before having children, and Leia not really wanting to have children until after the novelization of Tatooine Ghost. Yet we have Han and Leia basically making out and having sex on Endor, I guess, getting pregnant, and then boom, there's Ben Solo. So kind of different contrasted thing, where we have Leia not wanting to have kids because of her lineage and heritage, but then yet we have Leia like, okay, let's just do this and I'm gonna have a child. I don't even care. I don't like who my father was, but I am not afraid of having kids and having them turn to the dark side. So I guess, again, flipping everything on its head, like I've said before. You know, I mean, it is what it is. The conflict tore the galaxy apart. Oh, okay, wait. Rewind. and also joined Luke's Jedi Academy. So they both joined him. Luke raised Jacen and his sister since they were little, or he was very much a part of their life since they were born, and then took them into the academy. Yet with Ben Solo, again, another contrast, Luke wasn't even involved. Basically, he left his best friend and his sister and stuff to explore the galaxy for Jedi, from what my understanding, Jedi, lore and all that, and to possibly establish a new Jedi Order. But in the original EU, Luke still searched for all that material, everything, and asked Mon Mothma and the New Republic's blessing on starting a new academy, a new Jedi Order, and he got the blessings, but still he stayed a pivotal part of his sister and his brother-in-law and the galaxy's life, and stayed by their side, and still was a pivotal hero. So again, very different stories going on here. So, I mean, you guys make your decision which you like better when it comes to Luke's arc, as well as this comparison between Ben and Jacen. Luke basically was a part of Jacen's life from the beginning, not Ben's. All right. Jacen served as a Jedi Knight for years, but exactly, Jacen was a Jedi Knight. Ben wasn't even a Jedi Knight yet. He was just a Padawan from my understanding. But the Yuuzhan Vong War changed everything. The conflict tore the galaxy apart, resulting in the death of trillions, devastating both the New Republic and the Jedi Order. Jacen Solo was the hero of the war, defeating the leadership of the Vong and ending the conflict. Yes, Jacen and his uncle, basically, Jacen was tortured and everything, and this also sets off his arc to the dark side, to becoming a Sith. There's a lot more tangible story in Jacen's arc and why he turned than we will see in even Ben Solo's. And right now they're doing the explained, explained stories to make everything make sense for those in Star Wars. However, Disney wants to cater to the casual moviegoers, so they will never know, because they're not going to pick up the material. Only the ones that are hardcore, and I'm going to use that term, hardcore Star Wars fans is going to pick up the material. But a lot of the hardcore Star Wars fans are turned off by Disney Star Wars. So, I mean, maybe no one will know. Myself, I'll probably look into it, because that's a part of my platform for my channel, is compare and contrast between George's era of Star Wars and Disney Lucasfilms. So let's go on. However, his victory came at a price. Many of his allies, including Chewbacca and his brother Anakin Solo, were killed. Additionally, Jacen had been a captive of the Yuuzhan Vong, which I already explained, and was tortured with the embrace of pain. And Vizier was the one that helped him escape, got him out of there, and we see his arc going from there. I'm not going to read all this that she put in here, because it's just rehashing of the Vong New Jedi Order storyline. After the war, Jacen traveled the galaxy and learned from different Force users. That's something I wish we could have got expanded on more in the EU, because, learning from Luke's journey in Fate of the Jedi, trying to retrace Jacen's path when he went on hiatus to explore other Force societies, that would have been something neat to see him learn and do, and and progress. It was a very compelling and interesting story to have been told. Upon his return, he adopted a more detached view of life and death, reasoning that sacrifice had to be made for the greater good. He began to have visions of dark men sitting on a throne, casting a galaxy into another age of suffering. Jacen was determined to prevent that from happening. He embraced one mission with Ben Skywalker, our Ben Skywalker, our Ben. Now that makes sense. Luke naming his son after the man who helped protect him and train him had a great impact on Luke's life. That makes perfect sense. All right. And then again, I am covering, as of this video, if you look at the date, I am covering the Legacy of the Force series. And so it also explains about Dark Lady of the Sith, Lumaya, and how she manipulates and turns Jacen Solo into Darth Caedus. Jacen sought out possible futures of the Force and encountered visions of himself fighting Luke and killing him while the galaxy remained at war. And all the possible futures he saw, the only time that was prevented was when Din died. So basically that goes into the storyline in Betrayal. And I just covered that again. And so Jacen basically turned, to sum it up, turned because he thought it was going to be good for the galaxy. Ben Solo turned because he just wanted, because what, he had a fit and he didn't like how his parents raised him, or that they didn't pay attention to him, or whatever the story. So basically acting out. He turned because he was acting out. And Luke went after, like, wanted to kill him because he's seen that. Again, that's not Luke Skywalker. That's not the Luke Skywalker we know, who wanted to change Vader because he saw the good in him. I'm pretty sure he could see the good in his own nephew and think, oh, well, we need to do something productive and get him help him from having the dark side take over. Instead, he lit his lightsaber and wanted to kill him. Makes no friggin' sense. Like Ben Solo, he fell completely to the dark side by killing a family member. Instead of killing his father, he killed his Aunt Mara Jade. Like Kylo Ren, he embraced the new identity, Darth Caedus. There's a difference in that. And I'll say this. So Mara Jade was a wife. She wasn't blood related, of course. She was Luke Skywalker's wife. He confided in her a lot. So they had that relationship. And the lady fails to mention that Jacen Solo had a family. He had a secret family at the time, and that was Tenno Call and his it's not his wife, but that was Tenno Call and their daughter Alana Solo. And he was scared to death because Lumaya was telling him that to make the ultimate sacrifice, he has to kill someone he loves. And so he thought it was going to be them. And it wasn't. It was Mara Jade. He loved her as a confidant, as his aunt, but also too because she was at the time, his master's and his uncle's wife, Mara Jade. So basically killing her was more pivotal for him than Ben Solo killing his own father in Disney Lucasfilm. And see, I'm talking as if they were one person because they're trying to make Ben Solo like a Jacen Solo, and it's not convincing. Ben and Jacen have stories that heavily feature conflict with Luke Skywalker. In the Last Jedi, Luke, petrified by Ben's darkness, he is briefly tempted to kill his nephew, but ultimately feels shamed in the fleeting thought. I just covered that. Upon seeing his uncles standing over him, ready to strike, Ben fights back. This is the significant moment for Luke and Ben, placing them in their respective path. Again, this right here was bullshit storytelling, and I'll just say it just like that, because Luke's one of his qualities as a Jedi was he had redeeming qualities. So basically what that means is that he was one of the few Jedi that was able to help redeem someone and turn them back to the light. And he's even done that for himself, and Leia's even shown that in Dark Empire. And yet we have Luke here who fails to do that. Who fails to see, well, I see darkness in my nephew. I need to do something about it. I need to help him come back to the light. I see the good in you. we can overcome this. Instead, he lights his friggin' lightsaber wanting to kill him. So I am not convinced at all that this is good storytelling and this is a Luke Skywalker that we know and love. It goes against the overall arc that was established for him in the original trilogy. Makes no sense. In Legends, Jacen and Luke struggle with has more weight. Not only did Caedus kill Luke's wife, Mara Jade, he also tried to turn his son to the dark side. Yes, he did. He thought that Ben Skywalker was going to be a great apprentice, and that also Lumaya thought that it would have been pivotal too, because if you know the expanded universe, Luke and Lumaya, there was a relationship there at one point. And I'm not going to go into that because we have a lot to cover here. Luke encountered Caedus torturing Ben in the embrace of pain. And so with that story, you know, they have their showdown and everything, and Luke saves his son from Caedus and severely injures Caedus, and they flee, and also in disabling the Anakin Solo as well. Ben Solo was able to kill his father, but not his mother in The Last Jedi. He is unable to fire on Leia's ship. Similarly, Jacen Solo has his own weakness, his daughter. But also too, Jacen Solo did have, I guess you could say, a warrant out for the arrest of his parents as well. And so, again, great storytelling for Jacen Solo. Not so much for Ben Solo. They tried, but failed significantly. And they could have easily done it in the movies. People are going to say, well, they had so many books to develop Jacen Solo. Yes, they did. And Jacen Solo was not a character from the films. However, we got Luke's arc told excellently in the original trilogy, so they could have done this as well for Ben Solo. So I'm not going to use as, you know, that as an excuse. Well, they had a lot of novels to explain Jacen's story. I'm not going to use that as an excuse or someone saying that to me, because they could have told a very good story about Ben Solo in the trilogy. Because he is supposed to be the Skywalker, they could have made him out as on the light side and watch him turn a little, but make a twist in it so it's not like Vader's story. When the Moffs of the Imperial Remnant crafted a nano weapon that was targeted by his wife, that would target his wife and her people. Okay, so Jacen was not married to Tenno Call. So they had a secret relationship. So, darling, get your story straight there, okay? Caedus feared for his daughter's life, and he left to save her. His twin sister, Janus, stabbed him in the abdomen. Yeah, so basically, the Sword of the Jedi story, and we have the twins fighting. So that was a very compelling story. And again, I'll be covering this in my Legacy of the Force series that I'm developing right now for the channel as of date of this video. Jaina had unique training studying under the tutelage of Boba Fett and Luke at a different point in her life. And then also too, Mara Jade was also her master. So she had great training, and basically is lived up to be the Sword of the Jedi, which we could have got the novelizations if they went ahead and kept Legends as a part of the overall lore. Caedus begged his sister during the duel to help his daughter. So basically that's, again, a compelling story. Basically, he was aware of the nanovirus and that he needed to save Tenno Call and his daughter Alana, and he reached out to Tenno Call at the last pivotal moment to warn them as Jaina slayed him. Very sad and compelling story. In The Rise of Skywalker, Ben couldn't save his mother, but he used his final moments to save Rey. Why? There's nothing there. There's no significant story behind that whatsoever. There's no development behind that. There's no reason, because there was no friggin'... I'm sorry, I didn't see a relationship whatsoever. She beat his ass countless times. Why would he want to save her? There's no reason for that. There's no reason for Ben Solo or Kylo Ren to save her at all, Rey at all. Like Jacen and their daughter before them, that displayed humanity allowed him to die as Ben Solo and not as Kylo Ren. Again, another one, but it makes no sense. There's no reason for him to want to save Rey or give her his life, I guess you can say, because now Jedi can basically heal or resurrect you or give you your life so to save you, which makes no sense. That's not how the Force works. Yes, we knew Cade Skywalker had the ability to resurrect, I guess you can say, in a sense, you know, and that story was being more developed as we went along. But I also see it very different, and I will cover that in a future story in my lore. In the aftermath of the Rise of Skywalker, the Resistance celebrated the fall of Palpatine. Again. And presumably the supreme leader of the First Order, Kylo Ren. In Legends, Caedus' death ultimately brought peace to the galaxy and an idea that inspired his turn to the dark side in the first place. The warring factions had become united against Caedus and, following his death, made a peace settlement. The vision of the man on the throne that Jacen sought to prevent was replaced by one of his daughter, Alana. So she fails to share that Alana was sitting on the throne as the Jedi Queen, and beside her was Darth Caedus. So that's another reason why Jacen turned, because he's seen his daughter on the throne and Darth Caedus by her side. He wanted to change that story. He's seen Darth Caedus on the throne, then he's seen Alana on the throne with Darth Caedus, and so he wanted to change that story. So there's a lot more that was going on than what this Evangelina, I'm just renaming her, than what she's telling. Ben Solo and Jacen Solo similarities run deeper than merely being the bad seed, child of Han and Leia. They have similar story beats. Although Jacen is more defined, part of it is because of the benefit of long form storytelling. Again, I'm not going to use that as a excuse. Disney Lucasfilm could have given us a great storyline of a Skywalker from the beginning. Instead, they gave us the storyline of Rey, who developed to be a wannabe Skywalker, missing the point of giving us a Skywalker, a compelling Skywalker character. They could have developed Ben Solo from the beginning, and he being the main protagonist, turning possibly if they wanted to have something similar to Jacen Solo. Or they could have just given us Jacen Solo and Jaina and Anakin, or, you know, the Legends timeline. Instead, they cast it away and didn't know what the hell they were going to do, and gave us this basically knockoff Jacen Solo that makes no sense. And yes, Jacen Solo did have stories, plenty of stories to develop his whole life. But again, if they can give us a Luke Skywalker and develop him very well in the OT to where it made sense, and that you didn't really have to read the expanded universe to learn more about him unless you were curious and wanted to learn how he developed the new Jedi Order. Again, not explaining the films, but expanding on the films. Instead, we get Ben Solo that now needs explained material, supplemental resources to understand his story. So I see this as a cop-out, saying that Jacen was more compelling because of all the stories. No. They could have given us a compelling story and then expanded on it, instead of explaining it. While both stories have an inherent element of tragedy, Ben Solo's turn and redemption lack the emotional depth of Jacen's. The latter's torture, subtle seduction, and flawed motivation provide a layered approach to the character and his fall. There's much more of a finality to Jacen's arc, bittersweet as it is. The familial elements in Jacen's arc are also more prominent, allowing for, excuse me, an intriguing drama. Because Luke, Han, and Leia are mostly background character in the sequel trilogy, they are also background character in the Legacy of the Force, if you haven't noticed. A lot of this is about Jacen Solo and about Jaina. Yeah, Luke has to be a part of it as well because he is the Grand Master and makes decisions. But we also have a lot of other Master Jedis, you know, Jedi Masters and Jedi Knights as well. And then we also have, you know, a lot of story, like we have Pelion in there. We have a lot of great, you know, characters in here. But the main, you know, protagonist basically is Jacen and Jaina. They don't receive a chance to shine in Ben's story. Of course they don't. They could have if Disney did the trilogy right. They could have. But they wanted to get rid of them. They wanted to let the past die. So they killed Han off. Then they killed Luke off. And then Leia. So each one of the stories, movies in the trilogy, the trilogy was the death of our heroes. They could have stayed in and we could have had a more compelling arc for Ben Solo if they just kept our original heroes intact. Rey and the other characters who fought Kylo Ren have no significant bond to the boy he was before. Meanwhile, characters like Jaina Solo and Ben Skywalker do have that connection to Jacen, adding more emotions to the story. Yeah. So when it comes to the battle of the Solo kids, we have to give one to Jacen. That's a no-brainer. That is a no-brainer. So what do you guys think? This article's done. Again, this is from CBR.com. The title of it is called Star Wars Jacen Solo versus Kylo Ren, Who Had a Better Arc, by Evangelia Galanis. And so comment below, who do you think had a better compelling story between those two Solo kids? And what are your thoughts? Also, follow me as I go through and do the lore of Legacy of the Force with you. The next book is Bloodlines, and we are slowly getting, we are seeing the fall of Jacen into Darth Caedus, that rhymes, Darth Caedus and Caedus. Okay. All right. I'm done being silly. And his fall, you know, as a Sith, eventually, you know, to him and his sister's final duel. So thank you for tuning in and being a part of my channel, OG Star Wars. I am so thankful for every single one of you. Please check below and, you know, purchase some of my merch that I have on Redbubble. You know, you can purchase t-shirts, mugs, traveler mugs. I think have a clock on there as well. You know, your support is greatly appreciated, and your continued support on my channel by liking and subscribing and sharing this video is also greatly appreciated. So thank you so much, and may the Force be with you.